Solace wings over storm adventure. Written by C.M. Kwon. International Search and Rescue Alliance, ISRA. Founded by the Kwon family, Singapore. Motto: guided by hope, powered by humanity. When help is needed, we will be there. The International Search and Rescue Alliance, ISRA, origins trace back to the Kwon family. It is a private, elite global rescue and recovery organization operating at the intersection of technology, medicine, and humanitarian intervention. Born from tragedy and built on cutting-edge innovation, the ISRA deploys specialized teams into the world's most dangerous disaster zones, where speed, precision, and compassion mean the difference between life and death. When their cousin family died during a failed emergency evacuation, Mr. and Mrs. Kwon turned grief into resolve. They established ISRA that would ensure no one is ever lost to delay or neglect again. Summer Kwon. Role: Chief Medical Officer, Field Commander, Pilot. 21 years old. The eldest daughter and emotional anchor of the team. A trauma surgeon trained in both Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine, Summer graduated medical school at 18, earning distinction for her precision and composure under pressure. Zach Kwon. Role: Tactical Operations Lead, Ground Commander. 20 years old. The middle child and the protector of the family. Zach oversees tactical coordination and direct action rescue units. A martial arts prodigy and firearms expert, he brings discipline and courage to every mission. Miko Kwon. Role: Hacker, Drone Operator, Language Expert, Marital Art Expert. 16 years old. Miko is the youngest member of the Kwon family and baby of the family. A little mischievous but is brave and intelligent. The International Search and Rescue Alliance now operates as a covert global relief entity, partnering quietly with world governments, the United Nations, and private organizations. Their teams respond to disasters, pandemics, and wars, often arriving before official aid can mobilize. To the world, they're a mystery. To those they save, they're legends. Chapter 1. Rediverted from the skies. It is current on its flight trial. Arcadia 2 is over South China Sea. Arcadia is a large ultramodern hybrid airship, design and build for International Search and Rescue Alliance, ISRA, for disaster response and support. During disaster it can serve as 1. Air hospital. 2. Provide communication and network support. 3. Transport cargo, vehicles and personnel, huge capacity, designed to A. Numbers of vehicles and cargo containers. 4. Equip with high-tech gear to do mapping and surveillance. On deck, Summer Kwon checked the medical bay for the 5th time, while Zach inspected the cargo bay. Miko Kwon tapped at the navigation console, running diagnostics on the drones. Suddenly, alarms blared. "Summer, you need to see this," Miko cried. On the main display was live news of a mega undersea earthquake have caused a massive tsunami with wave up to 30 meters 100 feet high swept across the Southeast Asian coastline. Reports of devastated communities along the surrounding coasts is still coming in. Entire towns, ports and airports were obliterated. "We have new orders from HQ, Summer said quietly. Cancelled flight trial, Arcadia 2 is needed, divert all resources for full disaster deployment." Once Arcadia 2 reached base, within the hour, the airship transformed into a flying emergency hub. Cargo bays were filled with cargo containers full of food, water, medical supplies, tents, portable generators, and communications equipment. Amphibious search and rescue vehicles and essential construction equipment like excavators, bulldozers, and dump trucks are being loaded. Rescue personnel suited up. Summer addressed the team over the PA system. "ISRA team, the world is counting on us. Lives will depend on every decision we make. Bring hope where it is needed most." Zach grinned. "Then let's make sure nobody goes hungry, dehydrated, or untreated on our watch." Miko smirked at her console. "And let's hope my drones survive the tsunami." With engines roaring, Arcadia 2 surged forward into the heart of disaster. Chapter 2. Arrival at the devastated coast. After 12 hours flight, finally Arcadia 2 is almost reaching its destination. As Arcadia 2 approaching the coast, Miko launched drones that fly ahead to reckon. The coastline was unrecognizable. No ships or boats. Roads were shredded, buildings flattened, trees all gone. The whole town or city lay in ruins. Entire neighborhoods had vanished. Where there had been streets, there were now muddy channels filled with splintered wood, broken concrete, and the remains of lives abruptly torn apart. The smell of salt water and decay filled the air. The ocean had dragged inland everything in its path: cars, fishing boats, trees, fragments of homes, and left it all tangled together in chaotic heaps. Power lines hung like vines across collapsed buildings. Schools and mosques stood half destroyed, their walls cracked open, their floors coated in sludge. Dead bodies everywhere. Attention all summer, announce we have reach, all hands get ready, we will landing at airport, once landed, set up relief center ASAP for food and water distribution, communications, and field hospital. Engineer teams, get to work to clear the airport and ports so that planes and ship with support can come in. Finally Arcadia 2 reached the airport. The airport is devastated, the runway is in ruins with mud all over, cover by debris, damaged planes, or equipment. A small clear was found and Arcadia 2 was able to land. Unloading began, vehicles and cargo containers are unloaded. All got to work. Zach coordinated the engineering team. One team start clearing the airport, try to clear and repair the runway for planes carry relief and support personnel to land. Another team to clear the road to seaport, and try to set up beachhead for ships to dock and unload. Zach bring other personnel to start search and rescue. After unloading, Arcadia 2 take to the air and moor just above airport. Arcadia 2 is set up as aerial relay stations to create emergency communication networks as all e-ground infrastructure is damaged, providing long-range and mobile connectivity. Miko on board Arcadia 2, launched drones to map area, debris, locate survivors. Data collected are analyzed, sent back to HQ and shared with other agencies. Summer led the medics to establish emergency field hospital, while Lola, a veteran nurse, looked around in awe. I've seen hurricanes and floods, but nothing like this, not even in training. When I first saw your airship, I thought it was a floating city, Lola replied. Now it feels like the only city keeping this one alive. By nightfall, emergency zones were operational. Food and water were distributed, the wounded treated and the first communications restored. The disaster, however, was far from over. Chapter 3: The Roadblock. The next morning, the local civilian relief convoy that is trying transporting supplies inland was stopped at roadblock set up by a local gang. They took the trucks with all the relief crates of food and fuel. New soon reached the base. They'll never get away with this, Zach muttered. Summer joined him. We need to retrieve the supplies without escalation. Lives depend on it. Miko launched surveillance drones. Let's see where you all are hiding, we are watching. The drones soon track and found where the gang hideout is, the truck supplies are located. Drone reconnaissance are able to map out the area, the gang personnel numbers and deployment. The gang is lightly armed. Zach gathered the security team, plan and brief on night raid. At nightfall, when it was totally darkness, the security team move out in amphibious rescue vehicle. Once the team reach the area, they deploy and strike. The gang was outgunned and was forced to retreat. All trucks and supplies recovered. The next day convoy move out, this time with security escorts. Summer breathed deeply as she watched the convoy advance. One village at a time, one life at a time. Arcadia 2 hovered above, a guardian in the sky, ready for the next challenge. Chapter 4: Power and Water. The devastation was staggering. With most of the local power grids destroyed, Arcadia 2 became the lifeline for the entire region. Engineers quickly rolled out portable generators, connecting them to hospitals, shelters, and emergency service hubs. They also set up water desalination and purification station. Amphibious rescue vehicles ferried water purification units to remote villages, while Miko coordinated drones to monitor water flow and detect contamination. Summer moved from patient to patient in the temporary medic tent, treating dehydration, cuts, and shock. Lola handed her instruments while marveling at how smoothly everything worked despite the chaos. "The people here have no idea how lucky they are," Lola whispered. Summer gave her a reassuring smile. Arcadia 2 was built for moments like this. And we're just getting started. Meanwhile, Zack led teams to clear debris from roads, ensuring that convoys carrying supplies could reach the most isolated settlements. His careful planning prevented further accidents, and even the locals began to assist under his direction. By evening, the first signs of normalcy returned. Lights flickered on in makeshift hospitals, water flowed through temporary pipes, and exhausted villagers could finally access clean drinking water. Chapter 5: Aftershocks and Rising Waters. No disaster comes without surprises. In the early hours of the morning, secondary tsunami waves and aftershocks struck. Streets already littered with debris became treacherous rivers. Arcadia 2 hovered overhead, casting searchlights across flooded zones. Amphibious rescue vehicles were deployed to rescue stranded families, weaving through floating wreckage with remarkable precision. Summer stabilized patients on the amphibious rescue vehicle, her hands steady despite the chaos. Miko guided drones to illuminate safe, while Zack coordinated the team on the ground. At one particularly hazardous site, a mother clung to her child atop a collapsing roof. Zack launched an amphibious rescue vehicle, carefully cutting through debris. Miko guided the vehicle with drone to illuminate the area, while Summer administered first aid as they were carried to safety. By midday, hundreds had been rescued, but the siblings knew the hardest part was yet to come. Chapter 6: Communication Maze. The airfield is now clear and repair. Mobile air control tower is being set up. First plane is expected to able to land by afternoon. Port is now up and running. The first international aid ship have docked and unloading. With the disaster disrupting all traditional networks, restoring communication became a priority. Arcadia 2 is set up as aerial relay stations to create emergency communication networks as all e-ground infrastructure is damaged, providing long-range and mobile connectivity. Contact was re-established contact between local authorities and incoming international aid. Summer oversaw field hospital, coordinating patient information for medical teams arriving from abroad. Zack worked alongside engineers to clear major roads, ensuring relief convoys could navigate safely. Lola shook her head in amazement. "I've never seen a flying hospital, command center, and communications hub all in one." Summer smiled. Arcadia 2 doesn't just fly, it saves entire communities. By evening, the disaster zone was no longer in complete chaos. Communications were partially restored, basic utilities were operational, and Arcadia 2 hovered like a guardian in the sky, ready for the next wave of challenges. Chapter 7: The Isolated Village. Arcadia 2 picked up a distress signal from a village cut off by landslides and flooding summer. Zack and Miko set off toward the village. The amphibious rescue vehicle's convoy descended into the muddy, debris-filled paths, engines straining against the thick terrain. Summer organized the medics to establish a field clinic, while Zack led teams clearing fallen trees and rocks. Miko flew her drones ahead, mapping out a safe path and warning of weak bridges or unstable ground. At the village, the team was greeted by desperate villagers. Water was scarce, food supplies nearly gone, and several children were injured from collapsing roofs. Summer immediately set to work, triaging the worst cases first. Lola marveled at the efficiency of the operation. "We're actually saving lives in the middle of a jungle," she said. Zack gave her a brief nod. Arcadia 2 is more than a ship, it's a mobile city of hope. By nightfall, the villagers had access to clean water, medical attention, and food supplies. Exhausted but satisfied, the team watched from Arcadia 2 as the village began to recover. Chapter 8: Suspicious Fires. Just as relief operations were underway, a series of fires broke out near International Aid Agency's food storage facilities. The thick smoke could be seen miles away. Summer immediately called a team meeting. "This isn't natural," she said. "Someone is trying to disrupt the relief efforts." Miko launched drones which use thermal to track the source of the fires. From the air, she identified figures moving stealthily through the ruins, carrying torches and attempting to sabotage supplies. Zach organized a ground pursuit, while Summer coordinated emergency medics in case civilians were caught in the chaos. Drones provided real-time tracking, allowing the amphibious rescue vehicle teams to cut off escape routes. After tense minutes, some saboteurs were apprehended, and the fires extinguished. Supplies were secured, but the incident reminded the team that disaster relief often came with unexpected human threats. Chapter 9: Jungle Chase. Information from the drones indicated the rest of saboteurs had fled into a dense jungle inland. Zach led a convoy of amphibious rescue vehicles through muddy rivers, fallen trees, and landslides. Miko's drones circled above, relaying live visuals. "They're trying to double back," she called, voice tense with excitement. Summer stayed in constant contact with the medical teams, preparing for any injuries during the high-risk pursuit. The jungle was unforgiving, with narrow paths and unstable terrain. At one point, an amphibious rescue vehicle slipped into a shallow river, and Zach's quick thinking prevented disaster. Finally, using a combination of drone tracking, amphibious rescue vehicles flanking maneuvers, and clever trap setting, the team cornered the saboteurs. Summer and Zach restrained them while Miko secured their equipment. Zach wiped sweat from his brow. "That's one less problem for today," he muttered. Miko grinned. "And another great adventure to log in the Arcadia 2 database." Summer looked at the horizon. "The storm may be over, but there's still work to do. International teams are arriving, and the disaster isn't fully contained yet." Arcadia 2 hovered above, ready to coordinate the next phase of relief, a symbol of hope, courage, and unstoppable teamwork. Chapter 10: Mid-Air Crisis. Arcadia 2 soared above the disaster zone, carrying supplies and personnel to villages still struggling with floodwaters. Suddenly, alarms blared across the control deck. "A TV station camera drone have accidentally crashed into our hull," Miko shouted, fingers flying over the console. Alarm flashed on the hybrid system panel. Zach's eyes narrowed. "We're too low to risk an emergency landing. Miko, can you stabilize the ship?" "I'll try." Diverting power from non-essential systems, rerouting to primary engines. "The hull is self-sealing and hull robots is checking now." Summer checked the med bay. Patients were strapped securely, but she knew any sudden drop or shake could cause injuries. For tense minutes, the siblings worked in perfect coordination. Miko recalibrated the engine. Zach adjusted the hybrid thrust and maneuver the ship through turbulent winds, and Summer monitored the med bay, ready for any emergencies. Finally, with a loud sigh of relief, the Arcadia 2 stabilized. The airship leveled, hovering steadily. Miko wiped sweat from her brow. That was too close. Zach allowed himself a brief grin. Another day in the life of ISRA. Summer looked at her siblings. "Every challenge we face makes Arcadia 2 and us stronger. Let's keep moving. People are still counting on us." Chapter 11: Coordinating International Relief. Finally, the ports and airports reopened and communications restored. International rescue teams and news crew began to arriving. Arcadia 2 became the central command hub for coordinating medical aid, food, and engineering support. Summer oversaw Field Hospital, ensuring that injured civilians were quickly assessed and treated. Zach coordinated security and logistics, directing convoys of supplies to remote villages. Miko maintained drone and communications networks, tracking relief operations in real time and providing aerial maps of affected regions. Lola approached Summer, smiling despite exhaustion. "We've gone from chaos to control in a matter of days. The people here owe their lives to Arcadia 2, and to you 3. Summer shook her head. "It's not just us. It's the whole ISRA team, and every volunteer. Arcadia 2 is just a tool. Humanity is what really saves lives." By nightfall, the disaster zone had transformed. Food and water flowed to every village, hospitals were operational, and roads and ports were cleared for safe transport. Arcadia 2 hovered silently above, a beacon of hope. Chapter 12, A New Mission on the Horizon. As the team prepared to leave the disaster zone, Miko's console beeped with a new signal, a distress beacon from a remote volcanic island, cut off by landslides and earthquakes. Summer looked at her siblings. "Another mission awaits. Are we ready?" Zack flexed his gloves, smiling. "Always." Miko's eyes sparkled. "Let's see what Arcadia 2 can do next." Arcadia 2 lifted gracefully into the sunset, engines humming, drones ready, amphibious rescue vehicle docked, and supplies secured. The hybrid airship sailed toward its next adventure, a floating fortress of hope, courage, and teamwork. As the siblings watched the horizon, they knew one thing for certain: wherever disaster strikes, Arcadia 2 and the Kwon family will be there, bringing hope to the world. The end.